Up next is the tale of two veterans. And I'm going to read this. If you've listened to me talk before, and you see my text, you know they ramble on and on and on. But usually within the ramblings, there is some meaning somewhere, hopefully, somebody gets it. So the tale of two veterans. Tale of two veterans, but actually three. That title may sound strange, but hopefully soon you'll see. I'm about to share with you two stories of two veterans that are based on the information that we know. The first story takes place during the Second World War. The story is short. The veteran we will know as Ted. We'll call him Ted. Ted's older brother, Wedge, went to fight the Germans in World War II, and he was shot and killed. When word returned home of what had happened, Ted joined the army, went on to become a sniper, so he could kill Germans to avenge his brother's death. The end. Short story, right? Remember that. Our second story is slightly longer. It could go on for hours, but I'll keep it short. We'll try. The veteran is Ted's grandson, who ever since he was a young boy dreamed of joining the army. When he was 10, he had already made that decision. This was about the same time that he met his best friend while playing Little League. You guys might know part of the story, or have heard part of it before. So they met during Little League. His friend's grandfather was a Korean War veteran, and the friend also had ideas of joining the army. Fast forward 8 years, the boys are now 18. They joined the army in the fall of 1999. As inseparable as they were, Uncle Sam had his way. And he sent one to Fort Knox, Kentucky, and the other to Fort Benning, Georgia, for basic training. The two would write letters back and forth to each other, one addressed to the Brahma Lama, one addressed to the Brahma Bull, in hopes of getting each other smoked by their drill sergeants. Most likely they were. Their friendship and the military camaraderie was already present with these two. If you fast forward to September 11, 2001, like most American soldiers, the lives of these two were about to change. The following weekend was the drill. And at that first formation, the commanding officer said that there was a list for those that wanted to sign up to volunteer for deployment. Although unsure where or when at that point. Both boys signed that list. They were skipped over for the first couple of waves since they were young and still very green soldiers. But with most ranking soldiers leaving, these two were thrown into leadership positions. Quickly they had to learn what it took to become a leader, and in time they would be promoted and move up in the ranks. In 2005, the two were transferred to a unit out of Baltimore, Maryland, that would go on to deploy to Iraq. Uncle Sam played his hand again and separated these two, with one moving further north than the other. Both were seeing the world and leading successful missions, but apart. Until the day both of them were put back together, running missions towards the end of the deployment. Everything was back as it should be. The deployment ended with more stories than you could use to fill a book with. But it doesn't end here. The two again deployed in 2009. This time the Army was smart, and to save time and money, kept them together. Even living in the same little shack. Working side by side, these two have done everything, seen everything, and more than once denied everything. The stories are fresh and shared often. If you're around them long enough, you will more than likely hear one say, "Hey, remember when?" and go into a wormhole of Army stories back and forth with each other. So why the rambling on and on? I guess I'll answer that. Why is the long story that seemed to go nowhere and probably boring to most of you here? And why is the other one so short to begin? Simple. Ted the first veteran was my grandfather. He died when I was young and he never got to share any of his stories with me. All that I know of his military service, I read in a book about his hunting camp. His service to our country was summed up to me in 3 or 4 lines. Story number 2. If you know us, you know that is a very summarized story of me and Donnie. Our stories are many, and our stories we like to share. We share them with our friends, we share them with our families, so that they know what we have done, what we have seen, and our stories won't die with us. Our kids will hopefully be talking to their kids someday, and they can say, "Let me tell you what your grandfather did," and hopefully they say it with pride in their voice. The moral of this story is, if you know a veteran, please take time to talk to them. I'm sure they would love to pass on their stories, their accomplishments, and the sacrifices. Just like the high school quarterback that led the team to states way back years ago, we love to relive our glory days and pass on the information of what we did. And yes, sometimes even brag about what we did. Some of the things we've done, we really like to tell about. Others, not so much. So if a veteran stops talking at any point, don't press them for information. Most veterans like that, especially Vietnam veterans, will stop and just leave them where they're at. Yeah. I had written more there, but it doesn't make sense. So, talk to your veterans. My rambling kept going. Talk to them. They will love to share with you. It's sad to see veterans pass on that don't have family and didn't pass on stories. I mean, it's history. It's your family's history. It's your nation's history. So, take time and talk to them, please.